Hey everybody, JJ here. It is Friday, June 12th, 2020. Just wanted to go over some recent news today as we continue to watch this economic disaster be propped up by the powers that be, by the banking system, through manipulation, backdoor bailouts, record debt, record spending, record stimulus, you name it. And it's not going to stop until the deciders are ready to end it, and that's when the real pain is going to begin. But for now, let's take a look at some news here. Before the shutdown, and this is a CNBC article, before the shutdown, which was the first quarter, January through March of 2020, we did witness more increases in vehicle prices. So new vehicle buyers in the first quarter agreed to a monthly loan payment of $569. A monthly loan payment of $569 for new vehicles. Now the scary part is a lot of those loans, a big portion of those were 7-year loans, 84 months. By the time you're done with 84 months, if it's a vehicle that's not reliable, that vehicle is going to be essentially worthless and may not even run depending on the model that you end up buying. But imagine that $569 payment for 7 years. The average amount people borrowed to buy a new vehicle was $33,739. Now, remember, it's only because of the lending, the loose money, the easy money lending, and the subprime loans that allow people to buy these vehicles. If it were not for the ever loosening lending standards, people could not pay these prices, and you would see prices come tumbling down. Now, there's this effort by the central banks to continue prices rising, to keep pushing prices up, inflation. And the Fed actually has an inflation target. It's about 2% a year. The Fed, who have failed us over and over again, they failed to warn us about recessions. They failed to prevent recessions. They actually cause the recessions. The Fed's stated goal is to cause inflation. So by the view of the Fed, inflation is good. It's considered economic growth, right? Now, rising prices would be a sign of economic growth. It was based on actual people being able to afford what they're buying. Therefore, the big buying power, the increase in buying power, pushes up the prices. But just people taking on debt and taking out bigger and bigger loans is not a true indicator of a strong economy. So they think that you are ignorant and they think that you don't know. And actually, they might be right. Most people don't know, but I think most of you here on this channel, most of my audience here, knows that inflation doesn't mean economic strength because it can be easily manipulated. Loose money, easy lending, creates rising prices. It creates demand because people are throwing out money they don't have. People are bidding up home prices and buying vehicles that they normally could not afford. So, of course, what are the home sellers, what are the car dealers going to do? They're going to keep raising prices because the banks keep lending. Banks can keep lending because unlimited bailouts out of the central bank, they create money out of nothing. So I think most of you know this by now. But how many people now, since the shutdown, are going out and buying a new car for an average price of $33,700? Hopefully not too many. It's not a good asset to buy new because of the rapid depreciation. Let's talk about used vehicles. Used vehicle loans also climbed to all-time highs with an average monthly payment of $397. And even used vehicle loans are coming in at 6 and 7 years in some cases. The average price paid for a new vehicle, or for a used vehicle rather, in the first quarter was $20,723. Now it's going to be interesting after the end of the second quarter to see what the vehicle prices are. We know we did see a 10% drop as of the last report, a 10% drop in used vehicles. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. But when June is finished, that's going to be the end of the second quarter, so we'll probably see those numbers sometime in July, maybe early August. We'll definitely keep an eye out for it, and we'll bring it to you as soon as it comes out. Here is some not so good news, and I think a lot of you are already aware of this, but look at the magnitude of this. Over the past 3 months, 44 million U.S. workers filed for unemployment. It's actually more because a lot of people didn't qualify, and a lot of people still couldn't actually file because of the backups and the outages, the websites, and people that didn't make enough to actually qualify for unemployment. But the billionaires got $637 billion richer. right? The billionaires are laughing all the way to the bank. They love recessions. They love downturns in the economy. And even a lot of people that got stimulus checks, a lot of them went out and just paid off their credit card debt or paid down their credit card debt. Sadly, most of them couldn't pay off their credit card debt. So even the stimulus money that goes to the people, a lot of it's just going right back to the banks. The same banks that get money at 0% interest, and the same banks that charge you and I 17, 20, 25% on a credit card. And I just feel real sorry for these people that cannot pay off their credit card balance in full every month. Those interest charges just eat you up alive. So the banks, they love the stimulus going to the people because they know that the people are just going to end up paying a lot of it towards their debt right back to the banks. A lot of the same banks that also got bailouts are getting money from the people who are getting their stimulus check and paying off the debts and their loans. It's simply ridiculous. But this is the reality that we live in, and this is one of the reasons why we continue to see the rich get richer. CEO pay continues to skyrocket. I mean, it's so ridiculous. You could have 90% unemployment and you'd still see the billionaires continue to get richer. Report here out of Yahoo Money. Almost a third of Americans say they may never retire because of coronavirus hardships. Now, let's say this again. The recession was going to get here. There's no such thing as a never-ending bull market. There's always a pullback. There's always a correction. And of course now they're blaming this recession on the virus, but it was going to happen regardless. But either way, this recession has put a lot of people in a very, very bad position. Now, you probably know that most people are living paycheck to paycheck, but when it comes to retiring, a lot of people are simply losing hope. And the way that they're devaluing the dollar and the way that inflation's been going over the past few decades, what you put away today or what you put into Social Security, by the time you get that money back 20, 30, 40 years whenever you retire, it's not going to hardly buy anything. Look at the struggles that people today that are living on Social Security, look at the struggles they're in. So it may sound like a good program to some people. Oh, I give the government the money, they give it back to me 30 years later. By the time you get it back, it's devalued. That's why I am very critical of the entire Social Security system. I don't blame anybody for taking it. I'm just saying it's not a good system. You give up a portion of your paycheck, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 20%. By the time you get it back, your monthly benefit is lucky to pay a month's worth of rent. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's another just stupid, idiotic government program. The government, pretty much everything they run fails. They can't balance a budget. They cannot spend within their means. But yet people want the government to do more. They want to be 100% reliable on the government. It's pretty sad, and it's going to end up in a very, very dark place when the government finally says no more stimulus checks, no more handouts. Believe me, you do not want to be living off of the government, because then you're putting your life in their hands. That's why on this channel we like to stress and promote self-sufficiency if you can. Here's another one. This is out of CNBC. 46% of millennials say they're still recovering from the Great Recession over 10 years later, and people are still recovering. A lot of people got into debt that they never pay off, and sadly, there's people going to the grave now still carrying debt. So instead of passing down their lifetime of work to their family, to their inheritors, to their kids and their grandkids, many people end up with nothing and just leaving this earth in debt. It's just simply sad, and it's very discouraging. I think that's one of the big contributors to the rise in depression that we're seeing across the United States. Of course, the shutdown was a big part of it. But even before the shutdown, the financial situation and people working into their 60s, their 70s, their 80s, and still being in debt, it's very, very depressing and discouraging for a lot of people. Speaking of inflation, let's talk about food prices and specifically beef prices. Agriculture.com. Beef prices soar again. Food inflation is the highest in more than 8 years. Now, last month we talked about the rising food prices that occurred in April. Now the May numbers are out, and we're seeing another jump, another 4% rise in overall food inflation, led by skyrocketing beef prices with all the problem the farmers are encountering right now, and the broken supply chains. The question is, will it get better? And I would encourage everybody to prepare. I mean, look what's happening in the cities right now, the rioting, the looting. And ask yourself, if people had to get up and go to work the next day, would they be out all night rioting and looting? Well, probably not. So a lot of this is economic. Of course, there's a lot of other issues happening as well, but a lot of it's definitely economic. Bottom line, everybody, I would say just prepare, prepare, prepare. These market makers, these monopoly men, these fiat currency bankers that create this money out of nothing, they're not having any mercy. They're going to wipe out the farmers. If these farmers miss a tax payment, they're going to take their land. Pretty soon it might just be one or two corporations that control the entire food supply. And then guess what? You're just going to have to eat no matter what. You're going to have to eat no matter what they manufacture, no matter how many additives, or no matter how much junk's in the food. You're going to be stuck. There's going to be skyrocketing health costs because of all the sick people from just the crap food that's being created. Farmers, organic farmers especially, are being decimated with the the cost of living. The best thing you can do is be self-sufficient. Right? It's all going to come down. The day of reckoning is coming, people. Thanks for watching this report. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Bye for now.